Hi, I'm Bill from CJ Pony Parts. Last time out with our project Krimpstang, we test fit our engine, got in the car, found a couple issues with the fitment that we had to take care of, so we pulled the engine back out of the car. But before we put it back in, we're going to make our lives easier by installing the clutch, the flywheel, and the blow-proof bell housing. We're going to be installing the McCleod Street Extreme Clutch Kit, along with the McLeod matching aluminum flywheel. We're going to put a QuickTime Bellhousing over everything to keep everything safe. In case you missed the introduction, the goal with Krimpstang is to run it in the NMRA factory stock class. Now, to run in something like that with a sanctioning body, you have to have certain safety items in the car. One of them is going to be SFI approval on the bell housing. Now, in our case, the bell housing, clutch, and flywheel are all SFI certified, and this is the latest certification, which is legal for NMRA factory stock. This is a single disc clutch with a dual-sided ceramic disc that'll hold up to 650 foot-pounds, which will be plenty for the Coyote I'm putting in there. Kit's going to include the pressure plate, the discs itself, along with a throw-up bearing and an alignment tool. For the flywheel, I also went with McLeod with their aluminum flywheel. Now, there's an argument back and forth between the aluminum and steel flywheels. In my opinion, for my application, I wanted the aluminum because of the less rotating mass, and I kind of like the hit of an aluminum flywheel versus a steel flywheel, especially with the radial tires designed for the class. A Blueproof bell housing like this QuickTime unit here is an excellent choice for your street car, and it's a must-have for your race cars. Most sanctioning bodies are going to require it. The basis of this is it's a steel bell housing that will protect your feet in case of a clutch explosion. With high RPM launches, it's definitely something I want to have in the car. This QuickTime bell is going to work with my TKO and it'll bolt up to any modular engine, and again is SFI 6.1, which is the latest SFI approval. We'll start by installing the backing plate provided with the QuickTime bell housing. It's only going to go on one way. Your starter index is down here. This is going to go where the position sensor is right there, and it'll go right on the factory dowels. And you know you have it right, so you'll be able to see all the factory openings for the bell housing bolts. Now we're going to grab the dowels that are included in our Ford Performance Clutch Bolt Kit. We're going to put those on our flywheel to help line up our clutch. We're going to line up the flywheel. You want to be careful when you line it up and give it a good look because it's only going to fit on one way. We're going to use ARP bolts to bolt our flywheel onto our engine. They supply this lubricant. Just put a little bit on each one of the bolts before you put them in. And as you tighten them, you want to make sure you tighten them evenly. Just work your way around. Kind of do the star pattern. Now we're going to torque our ARP flywheel bolts to 70 foot-pounds, which is recommended by ARP for their hardware. You want to hold the crank. If you have an assistant, it'll make it a lot easier to hold it, so that way I can torque these to spec. And again, you want to do the star pattern as well. Ready to begin the clutch installation, you want to take a look at your clutch disc. It is actually labeled flywheel side, just to make sure the part of the hub is going to face outward. You want to grab your alignment tool. Again, this is a 26 spline, so it doesn't require an aftermarket input shaft or a TKO like I have. Then line it up. Okay, now we're going to put on the provided shim from McLeod. And this will line up with our dowels. We're putting a couple bolts in here just to hold it for now. Don't put anything tight just yet. Get a couple started, now we can install the rest of our clutch bolts. Now we're going to torque our clutch bolts to spec. Now Ford spec for the clutch bolt, 35 foot-pound of torque, and then an additional 60-degree turn on each one. This part here, you want to be careful. If you have a second set of hands, it'll make it a lot easier. What you want to do, this will have some play. You're going to make sure you have that as centered as possible, because when you go to put the metal input shaft, if it's not dead on, you'll take this all back apart again to get it lined up. Again, same idea with the star pattern. Now what we're going to do is just do the 35 foot-pound on each bolt first. That'll keep the clutch in place. And we'll go back through and hit them all again. Now again, with each clutch bolt torqued to 35 foot-pound, we're going to go an additional 60 degrees. Now we're ready to actually install the bell itself. First thing we're going to do is put the pivot ball in. This is something we probably are going to have to adjust later. I usually kind of put it towards the bottom, and about 3 turns out is usually a good starting point. I'm going to tighten that up. Now this is going to sit on the dowels as well. Just put it on both of those. Now we're going to start with the Allen-headed bolts. These are actually what hold the bell to the block. All the other hardware is just additional hardware to support the bell housing. Once you mount the bell with these, the rest of the holes get these nut and bolts that are included. Now for now, I'm actually not going to put them on the car just yet. I want to test fit my headers, make sure the transmission input shaft lines up and everything. And then once all that's good, then I'll put these in and the bell housing install will be finished.